It's always a joy for us to be with you week after week, and we thank God for the viewership in Guyana, the Caribbean, especially our brethren and friends in Jamaica and further afield. Wherever you are today, we want to welcome you, and we thank God for you, and we pray that you will invite someone. So we ask you to stay tuned, and we pray that the blessings of God will fall upon you. God bless you.
This evening we want to continue our discussion we started last week on independence. Nations that will have achieved independence, there are certain characteristics or symbols that go along with such nations. Talking about a nation that has its own national flag, its own anthem, president's standard. There are things that are used to identify the nation as an independent nation, which means that the nation will have cut itself off from its previous rulers or those who brought leadership. But having your own flag, your own anthem, your own pledge, that's just a small part in terms of being independent. Since one has to manage, or a nation has to manage its own affairs, its own leadership, then issues relating to laws, policies, and systems become very critical if that nation or nations are going to prosper or going to advance. And therefore, last week we drew your attention to Proverbs 8:15 and 16, which says, by me, kings reign and rulers issue decrees and are just. So the whole issue of justice and fairness, trustworthiness, cooperation, and so on, these things are critical for a nation to move forward, not just having the symbols of nation, but what happens in that nation in relation to its prosperity. So it is incumbent upon any nation that is going to do well that the leadership believes in God, and those who lead has some sense of a power higher than themselves that they could tap into for wisdom and understanding, even as they lead. So we want to continue our discussion on independence. Gentlemen.
I'm sure you might agree with me that a family is a sort of a microcosm of a nation.
Yeah.
You're living with your parents, and especially if your father is bankrolling stuff, providing resources, not just food. Food is a critical thing for young people. Food, nutrition, and really education, ensuring that enough or sufficient resources are available for the education of the children. That's a powerful thing. And when those children leave that nest, leave that family, like a newborn nation, they go out there and they discover that establishing a family, like a new nation being born, imposes a special set of responsibilities that might not have been obvious before. So that new family, they have to buy the milk, they have to pay their mortgage, they have to negotiate, they have to ensure that resources are there to maintain. And I think that's one of the, not only that, they have to ensure that the culture that they came from, that culture is maintained. And that's one of the reasons why we have Psycho with us, because a soundboard is important. It's not just education, it's not just athletics, it's not just economics, but those who perform in the performing and creative arts, they're very important. I remember Terry Nelson singing, "Oh, we welcome, oh, we welcome, oh, we welcome independence to Guyana." I think he changed his name to Omar Farouk later on. But all of us sang that song. That song was not clear to us before 1966, but after we became independent. So someone like Saiku has a special duty and responsibility to sing and to represent our culture well. So we'll interact with him as we go along. But I am seized by the notion of a sense of responsibility.
Pastor, I'm happy you made that analogy about the family being a microcosm of the nation, because as I look at Guyana, last week we were speaking about certain sacrifices the family would make in order to educate the children. Now, as part of that, there would be prudent spending of resources and money, for example. Now, when I look at us as a nation, I find that sometimes we utilize our much needed foreign exchange to bring things into this country that we have right here. Now, as a family, if you're poor, you try your best to have a little kitchen garden and you eat from that kitchen garden. As a nation, I'm asking Guyana, let us eat and use what we produce right here. So our much needed resources or money to foreign exchange can be used to bring in things that we don't have. So that's a little thing that we talked about wisdom and all of that last week. So that struck home right away when you mentioned that the family is a microcosm of the nation. That's one of the things I think we can do as a nation.
We must applaud our farmers. I saw photographs in the media after 51 years that we have the capacity, and apparently not just the capacity to produce, but to transport what we've produced. Irish potatoes, that's what they call it, or English potatoes. Like we are now able to produce it. And the trouble perhaps has always been bringing it from the farm to the market. Places like Cato, as a soldier, you saw, you told me many stories of pounds, hundreds of pounds of potato just lying there on the airstrip waiting to be transported because the place is so high. And we need to find a way to bring those things, and as Orson said, we can use our hard-earned foreign exchange to do other things.
Pastor, I even noted that a few weeks ago, or months ago it might be, those large sweet peppers. I was surprised to know that they're grown right in Ghana. I think it might have been on the west coast of Berbice. We can grow those things right here.
I saw them at Hararuni and Linden Suicide Highway. They butternut squash, and the bell peppers produced right here. But the thing about it, as soon as they're produced, they're packaged and they're sent overseas. And because that's where you have an opportunity to earn some foreign exchange.
That is why that culture is so important for us to create a culture, starting with the family, as we teach our children to be self-sufficient and to use the considerable skills that we have. That can be replicated 1,000 times over, and each family can benefit. And then as a nation, as we take it out to the nation, we will trust God and believe God to raise up negotiators, because we have the resources, but we may not have the technology for the value-added products. But we can negotiate, and not just people going to meetings, but bright men and women who can get negotiating skills right in this country. And we can create that kind of culture, so when we negotiate and we get those foreign currency that you spoke about, we can be able to use it.
Let's make a quick transition. The children of Israel, always in captivity back in the day, struggling with people trying to dominate them, struggle. How can we sing our song in a strange land? And after 51 years, we sing everybody's songs. We sing them over and over. Well, we now have one of our own singing something that is uniquely Guyanese. Psycho, how you came about to be creating something like this?
Well, for me, it's just a passion. Music is just a passion for me. And what I try to do is to just relate my Guyanese experience, with what I believe in, and just put it out here in terms of music. So, I mean, the thing about it is that we're talking here and we're saying that we could use what we have. And it's funny because in Guyana, we tend not to want to do that. So what is unique about my journey at this point is that it was a foreigner who heard me and decided to say, wow, the world needs to hear this. And took me to a studio flew me, out and just have me record the music. So for me, in writing, I try to put my experience as an individual also in the context of Guyana and stuff like that to do my music, but it was actually foreign who took me and said,
This
"Yes,
foreigner, was this foreigner from London or from New York or was a Caribbean man?
It's a Caribbean one, yes.
So we need to mention that because
Yes.
we are, we are brothers.
Yes,
From the same
definitely.
mother.
And, yes, it's a Jamaican. So it was prodigal son who came to Guyana, saw the talent, and said, "Let's."
But what I commend you for is that you're not singing Jamaican.
But
In the
I'm Guyanese.
Well, that's why we can celebrate you on
Yeah.
a program like this. The most powerful lyric and accent and in the music world today is a Jamaican accent. And I commend them for lifting their language and to such a point where even in America talk shows they're trying to mimic the Jamaican accent. But here you are. Now, a prophet is without honor in his own country. And it took a foreigner to recognize your gifting. And we want to celebrate your gift. Of course, you're giving Guyana an opportunity to come and celebrate the gift with you on the 20th.
Yes, the 20th.
And 20th. Now, I heard you, or we heard you do a song about if my pillow could speak. What motivated that? What?
Well, actually, growing up in West Randville, and to a single parent mom with 10 kids, you find that the struggle was real. So there were times, even as a believer, that you would come to church, you would talk with your friends, and you would be happy, you would smile, you would enjoy the jokes and everything. But the truth of the matter, sometimes when you go back, the reality hits you. You know what I mean? And that's the period where, you cry out to God. You know what I mean? You shed your tears on your pillow, you reflect on how the day went, how the months went, and so that experience, I put a pen on paper, and that's the motivation.
Growing up in we went to that area where Marley grew up in Jamaica there.
Trenchtown.
Growing up in Trenchtown. Robert Nestor Marley had a connection with life in the ghetto. And one of his most powerful songs is a reflection of the felt need of people who grew up in those villages like that. No woman, no cry. And you could imagine, once he was inspired by that reality of life there. And when he made the song, it went right to the top. In Japan, in China, in Asia, across America. He touched a nerve that was truly universal. That there are people who are crying and who are suffering, but they rejoice when they eat the cornmeal porridge, and so on. You have touched something that is real. What we want to celebrate you because you're also a businessman, and you're doing well with your business. But along with this acumen that you have, you always knew you had this latent skill, but you were just waiting on recognition. You see, there's a principle of recognition that says, whatever you don't recognize, you don't recognize and celebrate, it will exit your life.
Yes.
And I'm grateful to God to Pradi, a Jamaican brother, who recognized your gifting, and he's now celebrating it. And if my pillow could speak, all of us, whether you be the president or the man in the street, there are times when you could hardly sleep. A CEO, sir, there are times I'm sure you go to bed with issues, bank managers, you're trying to think, what happened here today? People who are in charge of the military, the police, and the judiciary, and all, listen, none of us, we all have pillows, right?
Yeah.
I hope so. And so, Psycho, tell us a little bit more about this pillow song.
Like I said before, Pastor, it's just my experience. You know, like for instance, there was this time I went for a job, right? So I have all my CXC subjects and I was out of work. So I went to this guy and I was like, it was a bar factory. So I said to him, I said, I need a job. I really need a job. This is my part. She's like, I can't hire you. But I thought that was a perfect opportunity. If there was no other job that I could get, I could at least get this job to make bags. And the guy looked at me and said, no, I can't give you this job. You will never stay at this place. And I was so depressed because this is supposed to be a sure bet. I mean, that's one of the things, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I could do this job. And the guy said, no, you can't do this.
You was a line on this.
You know, so it's like I said in the song, it's like, sometimes didn't want to wake up, to feel like my life a waste. 'Cause it's like every door me knock on, then I slam them in my face. And most times I'm smiling, but deep inside my heart I break. But Jesus will never give me more than I can take. See man a plan, God a wipe out, and I ain't got no more wipe out. But look at job, them give me stress. Through them see me have a ghetto address. And to be poor is like a crime and it no easy. And by the cover on me book I saw them read me. Me nah no jacket, nah no tie, so they didn't need me. And Jah knows it with me. And if my pillow could speak, it would tell you how I weep. How I was a bad boy I road, but to Jesus we weep.
Wow.
You now own one of those buildings. Yes, that was the property of that bag factory. I think you now own the building.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, there's a line there, I can't remember, it's something about an address in the ghetto or something like that.
To be poor is like a crime and it not easy. By the cover of my book I saw them read me.
You know, I have one of my daughters, she's a teacher. When she was at college, she met a friend from Boston. In those days, this colleague of hers, they're very good friends. Whenever she sought a benefit, and she used her dress in Boston, I came into the home and I heard this discussion about, in those days, immediately her application of what was put at the back of the line because of how people perceive the Bostonians, the village and the people and the villagers. And I said, as I was listening to them, I said, young lady, you can use my address from now on. And wow. So here it is. You can imagine being stigmatized, discriminated against, all because you live in a village. That's a reality.
Yeah.
And it's captured beautifully in that song. Amazing stuff here. And it's happening all in our 51st year.
Well, what can we learn from Saiku's experience? I mean, from an individual standpoint, we see what he went through. We are at the point in our nation where we're celebrating 51 years as an independent nation. What can we draw from this? It took a foreigner to recognize his potential. Are we waiting after all those years on someone to recognize us as a nation? Or should we collate, should we come together as a nation? We heard about our resources and the things that we have, the potential that lies within this great nation, Guyana. Who are we waiting to recognize? Us. And I recall what you said earlier, you made reference to the family and that child leaving the family after being well provided for. There are some best practices that that child could have taken from observing his or her parents, what they did to sustain that family. We would have been colonialized, and there are certain things we could have taken from our colonial masters to help us. And what about networking also? We need to embrace others to help us to get to where we are to be. What we find happening is that we are divided as a nation. We are not getting to achieve what we need to achieve. The leaders that we have, while some have good intention, there are others who might be motivated by other factors, and they believe that if we can be separated as a nation, it would go well for them. But what about the nation as a whole?
I can tell you what else you can draw. You can draw $1,500 and support this young man. This ticket here will get you into his concert. It's an album launch, and we have a wide cross section of artists, ministers, who will give you one of the greatest days in your life. Come out and support. It's May 20.
It won't only give you permission to the concert, but will give you a copy of the original album.
Yeah.
Original. This is not one you're buying from the car. This is original. And so this, once you invest in this, you'll get an opportunity. But you know, we've had many songboards over the years. I remember is Eddie Hooper.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember there were three guys who sang a nice thing with the guitar. What's his first name? Oh boy, can't remember. I remember Sammy Bass. You know, and you know, we've always had a number of. We talked about the outstanding ones, and I can't recall all of the others. Eddie Grant. I mean, at the top of the pyramid, at the very, very top of the pyramid.
Ettrick Avenue.
Eddie Grant. Give me hope, Johanna. So, I mean, have we celebrated these folks enough? Have we said to them, listen, we love you as a nation. We value you. We are so happy that God caused you to be born here in the boundaries of Guyana. And if we're going to celebrate you, if we missed on all the others, and I mean Eddie Grant, I should have called his name first without any doubt. We need to be able to celebrate this young man and say to him on the 20th of May at the GFC ground. Yeah, how am I doing in advertising this thing?
You know, Pastor, I come to the privilege today to really recognize a brother in the Lord and Guyanese that we can celebrate. And it's not being done, you know. I was listening to the radio station and I was mentioning it to him that here we have the radio stations, and a Trinidadian woman was in my car and she's saying, we are celebrating everybody else except our own people. We were talking about Jay-Z and all this thing, and I thought about Psycho. We are celebrating Psycho on the 20th. We're going to launch an album, and every Guyanese should be proud that this is a Guyanese brother and not Jay-Z or anybody else, but a Guyanese brother, Caribbean brother, celebrated in this land.
You know, it's a beautiful thing that this is happening now at this point in time. And Minister Wesley made an observation, and Minister Bell, in terms of the recognition that we've been giving to persons. I personally believe that there has been a shift, or there's a shifting in the right direction in terms of recognition of our own people. That's my feeling right now. Because I was privileged to see a document, and there was this particular group, the Circle of Love. I saw a particular document from the highest level indicating that we should support and purchase the music of these people and so on. So I believe we are in a good place now in terms of the shifting and recognition. It is not, it's quite ironic that this is happening right now in the light of the kind of information I have. I believe we're moving in a direction where we're recognizing our people, the talents, the abilities of our people, and the promote our people. I think that's where we need to go.
We got to look
Even a shift, you know, because on where we can celebrate Psycho, to purchase the original album. And then, you know, something I look forward to every morning on the radio station is a national song that's being played just around 7:15. You know, I feel
even greater now as being Guyanese.
Yeah.
And you know what I like about your song, Saiku, is that if my fellow could speak, you spoke about your past, and in you yourself, you have moved from what you said in the song to a life where that you allow the past obstacles and challenges to really help you to develop as a person, and that is great about the song.
We're looking at our next audience will be Anil Aziz. He's from this church. Aziz, every song that Aziz makes here, he used to come and let me sit. Wow, I started go ahead. Music.
Amen.
The album that is about to be launched, I think it's named You.
Yeah.
I love that song. And you were trying to say something, Psycho.
No, I was trying to say that for me, even though it's my album launch, the way how it is done, it was very deliberate. Because I believe the Guyanese, we don't recognize our own. So I thought to myself, if I put myself over here and do it at this level, then maybe it could trigger something in our minds that we would see a Guyanese artist, and so we would begin to start appreciating on the next level Guyanese music. So,
That's right.
So I think broadly.
60 seconds to go, and we have an opportunity to hear before the 20th a snippet of You.
I need a little bit more than Sunday morning, a little bit more than a song, little bit more than the jumping and shouting. I need your heart, yeah. God need intimacy, more than the offerings you bring. You ain't got to impress him, just be genuine. He needs you, 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 you. He needs you, 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 you. He needs you, 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 you. Jesus needs your whole heart.
Guyana, we need Jesus.
Yeah.
Amen.
And we need you on the 20th to come out in your numbers. GFC ground. This will be the greatest time on this ground ever. See you there. This is Choices. Be blessed.
Amen.
We thank you for joining us on Choices today. Remember, you can join us at First Assembly, LNP Durban Street, Workmanville, Georgetown, Guyana, for any of our special services. I'm Celicia on behalf of the set, reminding you that your whole life is the sum of your choices. God bless you.
More than the offerings you bring, you ain't got to impress me, just be genuine.